Hey, this is Tyrese Anderson. What I want to talk about today is something that I felt like I had to talk about because you hear about it so much, and five of these things are things you've probably heard about. Which for this video, what I want to talk about are the top five biggest misconceptions about black people. Which we have a bunch of stereotypes and stuff associated with us. For this video, I'll discuss why the five main ones are false. Now let's get started. So for the first stereotype, um, or misconception, whatever you like to say, about black people, the first one that you hear a lot is that we are all criminals. Now the simple answer to that question is simply put it, that is false, because the majority of black people, even when you look at the incarceration rate and stuff, especially in America and Canada as well, where I live, the percentage of the general overall population who actually have been arrested uh, and convicted of a crime and have a serious criminal record and all that stuff, number probably like 3 to 4 million. Okay, and it's not just like the ones who are currently in prison, but just a few million in general over the course of like a decade or so. And most of these criminal offenses that you actually hear about when you do research are actually small misdemeanors like smoking weed or something, nothing really that serious. Like it could be that or getting in a fight. Like, come on, everyone gets in a fight at some point, or at least most people do. Like things that are relatively petty and silly and actually forgettable, and to put it bluntly, are pretty much things that a good portion of young people, especially nowadays, have been convicted of. Okay, like shoplifting, ooh, so hard. So, truth of the matter is, um, the majority of us are not criminals. And even when you look at the conviction rate, most of the crimes that are committed are not serious offenses. So that's the first misconception when I get out there. The second misconception I want to get out there about black people is that we all live in a ghetto. We all live in those types of places, Section 8 community housing or the ghetto, or more specifically, if you're familiar with these names, like Dade County in Florida, which is in Miami in Florida, or it could be Los Angeles, like Compton, Inglewood, those places. It could be New York, like the bad areas of places like the Bronx or Brooklyn, like Yoinkers and all those types of places. The truth of the matter is the majority of black people don't live in the ghetto. Truth be told, they might live slightly below the average income of the average a mainstream American, of course, particularly white Americans, but the majority of us do not live in a ghetto. When you look at the statistics of black people, the majority of them, if you do even a little bit of research, are actually in the middle class. Maybe not like middle class, like they have a full size house that completely belongs to them, but at least middle class, like they have a townhouse or they at least can afford an apartment or something. So that's what I mean by middle class. So that is another misconception about black people that is completely untrue. Now, the third one, now this is where things really get pretty controversial, or not even pretty controversial, really controversial, is the one that we hold a grudge against white people because of slavery. Now, the truth of the matter is this one couldn't be further from the truth, because the truth of the matter is that slavery in America and even in the Caribbean, if you're of Caribbean descent, ended even earlier than that. It's easily been over 100 years since slavery has ended for the Caribbean and and um for America, and even Brazil, which was the last place to abolish slavery, is in the 1880s. What does that tell you? It's easily been over 100 years since slavery has been abolished in the New World. So the truth of the matter is, when it comes to us, to North America particularly, we don't. The idea that we hold some sort of grudge because of something that happened over 100 years ago is simply untrue and unfounded. Because the thing about people is that people in general are not stupid. You you know, and black people are people too, so we're not stupid. The truth of the matter is that you can't hold a grudge against someone because of something that happened not only a long time ago, but happened to your ancestors. Okay? So the idea that, oh, we hold some sort of grudge because of it is untrue. It's because of the racism we constantly keep on facing, the after effects of slavery that has gone on. Besides, when you look at the history of America, particularly, Danny, how could they not? How could some of us not hold a grudge? Look at how badly as soon as slavery ended they treated them, and then you had Jim Crow and all that stuff. You cannot tell me if if it wasn't for that stuff, we would the black community would not only be doing better, we wouldn't hold a grudge. Some of us hold against white people. It's because they're still doing the same thing. People can move on, forget about those things. Besides, even if we did hold some sort of grudge, what can we what would we actually really do? Like what? We're gonna kill. We're gonna say we're gonna plan a revolution. Even if we would have tried to, we wouldn't have the ability to do it. America is a very powerful country. So is Canada. Or just in this case, for simplicity's sake, for this video, I'll just say America. America is a very powerful country. How the hell are we gonna be able to do that? So that's a massive misconception. Not to mention, that would look bad on us because you're doing something for something that happened a long time ago. So no, that one is definitely unfounded. We do not hold a grudge against white people because of slavery. It just some of us hold a grudge because of how badly we constantly we keep on getting treated even in 2022. So that's the third point. The fourth point is that we are all violent. Now, for this one couldn't be further from the truth, as if you look at human history, even medieval England, believe it or not, the amount of how dangerous and how many violent assaults would make even places like in the modern day world, like Compton, look like a joke. The truth of the matter is that when you look at history, especially all the major wars Europeans have had against each other, particularly the ones during the First World War, the Second World War, and of course after that, the possibility we could have all pretty much been killed by a nuclear war that could literally kill everything in the world. To think that we are the most violent group of people on the face of the planet is simply untrue and unfounded. The idea that we are extremely violent is untrue. It's simply not true, to put it bluntly. And if there was, to a certain extent, some degree of truth to it, which is the one we have bad tempers, that relates more to the fact of the stress we as a community have because of all the issues we go through. But there's a difference between holding a degree of stress because of what you're going through on a regular basis versus actually being that way. Not to mention, look at what European people have done historically throughout the ages. Look at how badly they treated black people in the South for even the most smallest minus of offenses like Emmett Till. You can't, to me, if anything, that shows they have a better temper than us. So that one is definitely a huge misconception. Now, the fifth one is that we are stupid. Now, this one is definitely a very controversial one, like the third one. But the truth of the matter is that intelligence is people say it's a very hard thing to measure. I actually disagree with that. I think overall it's an easy thing to measure. And the truth of the matter is, most of the black people, young black people in particular, the things that we are interested in is different than our white counterparts, and even Asian, particularly Asian counterparts. Not all of us are interested in becoming astronauts or working on rocket science or architecture, things that are require an extreme level of mathematics. So that's why we don't do that well academically. Not to mention, no skill in the face of the planet is out of anyone's comprehension. Math in itself is simply fundamentally simple to understand if you understand what you have to do for it. It just comes down to how much work are you willing to put in to actually become good at it. So that one's a huge misconception, and it's false, and it's flawed, and that's pretty much everything I have to say about that. So this is my video. If you like my videos, remember to hit the subscribe button and thumbs up this video. And this is all I have to say. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you also realized the misconceptions you tend to hear all the time are false. And that is it. Later.